Hello baritones, this video is for you. We're taking a look at moving the line and we're going to go through the song and go through parts for you guys to look at and rehearse and tell you what we need to do. So beginning at the very start, we want to make sure that our opening do-do-do-do-do-do-dat-das are that nice kind of brassy tone, particularly the dat-das, and also that they're nice and tight on exactly the notes that we want. And particularly in the last couple of recordings we've had, particularly the first three notes are just a little bit wayward sometimes, that we don't quite get there. And the first do-do-do, and then it's the second one, and then you have it. So it'd be great to be right there from the beginning. That's why we hum a note at the start. So do-do-do-do-do-do, that's really clean, no sweeps, nothing at all. Clean as you can. And then we're gonna do do-do-do-do-do-do-da-da, yeah, give me a little bit of, I don't know, is it a trumpet sound? Whatever it is, that kind of wah wah from the das. It can't change the note that you're singing, as you know. We got to keep in our chord that's there, but we've got to make sure that we are giving it that little pizzazz of a brass section before the song begins. Then you come down with me to bar 4, the very start of that da ya da. I'm getting a little bit of sort of swoopiness from the baritones here. It needs to be very, very clean. So we can't go wah, wah, wah. It has to be exactly the notes, okay? Da ya da. As clean as you can. We were kind of getting a da ya da. Those things work really well if you're in a small group or in a solo situation, like a quartet or a solo situation. But when you've got more than one person singing that, what happens is we don't get the swoop at the same time and we end up just sounding like we're out of tune. So it's not that it's not a nice effect, it just doesn't kind of work in this context. So no scoop right there. Come on down to when we start singing the words. I really want everyone, but in particular the baritones and the leads, to work on these things called shadow vowels. You may have heard me talk about them before, you might not. In rhythm songs or songs that are rhythmic, moving the line is one of those, we need to do extra musical things to enhance the rhythm and to make it feel like it. One of those is actually the breaths that we take, but another is a thing called shadow vowels. And it's literally at the very end of a phrase, putting a little at the end of the last word. I'll give you an example. The field was bright with clover, I saw the finish sign. Did you hear I did a little n? You won't be doing too much, I promise you. At the moment there is 0 shadow vowel, so if you think you're doing it, you're not, okay? It needs an actually voiced n, and it's all the way through the whole song. The whatever, victory was mine, they just keep moving the line. Yeah, decline, good rhyming all the way along here. Hollywood and Vine, all the way through the whole song. And these shadow vowels are on the line tape. They're on the teach track that I made. I know, because I listened back and checked. Well, nearly all of them are there. So try and make sure you're doing them. So can we give a little try of the very first phrase, the field was bright with clover. So it starts there, or the field, sorry. The field was bright with clover, I saw the finish sign. Yeah, that's it. And we can give a little crescendo on the word sign. Saw the finish sign. And you can do that with the next one. Started as a rover and victory was mine. Yeah, really musical. These are the small things. Very, very small things, but they just make the whole song better as we go all the way through it. Now, the next part that I want you to look at, switch over to page 2. There's a little bit of disagreement in the baritone line sometimes on the note in bar 9, so I need you to be very sure of it. Thought the race was. So you've just gone what? Victory was mine, thought the race. That needs to be as clear and calm as it can be. If you're not 100% sure of it, just hold back for a quarter of a second. There's plenty of baritones singing. There's people who've done this song a few times before. So if you're not 100% sure of that exact note, hold back, open the ears, and then you'll hear it. Let's sing it together. Victory was mine. Thought the race was... Very nice. Okay, the next bit is actually that over. It's getting a tiny bit piratey at the moment. It's a bit, thought the race was over, over. But we definitely don't want an We're really going to sing more over, okay? So your line is, thought the race was over, but they just... So over, but they just... Let's sing it together. 3 and... Thought the race was over, but they just... Lovely. And that just keep is joined on. Baritones are doing that very nicely. I'm not worried about it. There's no breath between just and keep. And you're going to sing just keep. I don't want to hear a in there. Too risky. Just keep. Okay? Lovely. Baritones, come on down with me to page 2 still, but down to bar 16. Your Hollywood and Vine. It needs just a little bit more colour in our singing. You're getting fabulous performance on it and great face, but it's not perfectly matched by what we're singing. So what I'd love is a tiny bit of breathy tone, particularly for leads and baritones, because you're the ones saying the full Hollywood and Vine. So a little bit breathy just there and a little bit more on your Hollywood. So you're singing Hollywood, Hollywood and Vine. Yeah, give it a big path of least resistance led to Hollywood and Vine. Very, very nice. There is a little pitfall just right before that in the word resistance, making sure that we're not doing long S's. So we want to sing resistance rather than resist. Do you hear the difference? Perfect. Let's sing that much. The path of least resistance led to... Yeah, that's a tricky line, isn't it? The path of least resistance led to Hollywood and Vine. Yeah, and give me a good old on it. Loads and loads of sass there. Very, very nice. The next little place for the baritones is you're right at the end of page 2. On bar 19, actually just the note leading into that. Keep moving the line. There's a little bit of disagreement on what that note is. Again, your line here is quite chromatic and quite tricky, so just to be very, very sure of your notes, because we're getting kind of 2 and 3 at a time sometimes. Where are we? So that's keep moving the line. Nice and high for that last line. Keep moving the line. And then you're into the they're paying for my decline, which you do really nicely. But keep moving the line. Let's sing it once more. Keep moving the line. Yeah, really, really nice. All the way up. I think it might be a kind of an element of just being slightly under the note as well as everything else. Great. Popping over to page 3. We've just sung they're praying for my decline and moving the line. So smooth for the baritones there. You've got a gorgeous line. Moving the line. Very baritone-y. I want loads of open mouth, loads of vowel. My. Even sing it with no consonants as a practice to see how much sound you can get in there. Because if you end up going moo, not what we're looking for. Moo, yeah, that's the level of continuation of sound. Sometimes we call it a wall of sound. Sometimes we call it legato or smooth singing. Whatever you want, keep that sound flowing through there. Very, very nice. Now, moving on to jumped all of the hurdles. The note on hurdles for the baritone is quite a jump. Well, it's not a big jump, but it is a jump upwards. And it's getting just a little bit thumped at the moment. It's kind of jumped all of the hurdles to break. When you're above the leads, as you just exactly swapped there, you and the leads between the word her, or actually it's the tenors for you. The tenors and then the leads, we swap notes between her and dulls. You've gone up above the leads. The leads are going to be down on this D, dulls, and you're going to be up on this F sharp. Dulls means you have to take a little bit of the volume out of it because you will naturally be heard a little bit better as you're higher in the range of the singers who are singing, okay? So we're going to sing, and you're going to be nice and smooth all the way through. jumped all of the hurdles to break out of the back. Very nice. So just not to smack hurdles. Baritones, come on with me to the next phrase, the inside track. That inside track, the word track is getting a little bit clipped. It's getting a little bit short in our performance, and I want it to have its full value of a crotchet. So spoken, what I want to hear is started on the outside and then hit the inside track, rather than the inside track, which is happening at the moment. So don't shorten that track. You will have time to take a breath. And if you are getting to the word track and you're gasping for a breath, rethink that phrase. Find somewhere that you can leave out a note in started on the outside and then hit the, and take a breath there instead, so that we're not all gasping at the same time. We need this to be really smooth, because we've just done such a beautiful job of that hit the inside track. It's a shame to kind of juxtapose it with a very clipped note at the end. Let's sing it together from I started on the outside. So you're on. Sorry, it's an F sharp. I started on the outside and then hit the inside track. Yeah, nice. Let's do it again. Starting on the F sharp. 1, 2. I started on the outside and then hit the inside track. Yeah, just a little bit more singing on that track will keep it nice and smooth for us. Great job. The next phrase, fillies back at the starting gate. Watch the word fillies. Sometimes the S can come in a little bit early. So left the other filly. Most of it's on the word lee rather than fillies. Yeah. Left the other fillies back at. First word is lee and the second word is back at. Okay? Your notes for that are left the other fillies back at the starting gate. And we've just come to the next bit I want to look at. Back at the starting gate is tending flat. It's really easy to happen when you're singing the same note over and over again. So try and make sure that by the time you get to starting gate, we're holding it up. Sometimes I practice actually bringing my hand up or pointing a finger upwards while I'm singing to remind myself. So why don't we sing that together from I left the other fillies. So you're on an F natural. 2, 3. I left the other fillies back at the starting gate. Nice. And then we're going to do our gate was red. There's a little gap in there. Doesn't mean we clip the gate. I don't want back at the starting gate. It can have its allocated time. Back at the starting gate was ready. Yeah. Okay, the next bit for you guys is down at the bottom of page 3 going over into page 4. It's the words ambition and audition. We're getting an awful lot of shh noise. We need to make that really clean and together. So talent and ambition rather than ambition. Yeah, ambition won me a chance to shine. Ace the big audition works the exact same. So that longer note, D and B, needs to have no sh in it. So talent and ambition won me a chance to shine. So if you're singing and ambi, the sh is not going to come in on that note. The sh is going to come in on that note. Ambition, see how it is? Rather than ambition. Talent and ambition won me a chance to shine. So for aced the big audition, I want you to be very careful, obviously of the shun, but of the word aced. It's getting a tiny little bit, we wish you a Merry Christmas. It's like ace the big, so a little bit more vowel, ace the big audition, okay? I know that the leads have that exciting baby I, and it's getting a tiny bit unwieldy. So if we add in that baby I to ace, you get baby I, ace the big, and it's probably more than we're looking for. So Let's give that ace the big audition really, really good. And then audition. Let's give it a go. Ace the big audition, but it's raining on cloud 9. And I want you to make a whiny voice for that one. I want you to sing the exact same notes. Don't change your notes. Don't scoop around the place. But instead of singing raining on cloud 9, I want you to sing raining on cloud 9. I kind of put it more into my nose. I made it a bit more American, maybe a little bit whinier. Not that those things are necessarily joint, just maybe an American type of whine gives you that lovely effect. This is a musical and vocal effect that we're using to show that we're not happy with it, okay? So let's try one more time. So we've got 3 things to remember in that phrase. We remember aced, we remember audition, and then we remember to be kind of cranky sounding for raining on cloud 9. Give it a go. 2, 3, and ace the big audition, but it's raining on cloud 9. And you can make the face too, no problem. Lovely. The next bit for our baritones is bar 35. There's just a little bit of ambiguity about the notes there. So we've gone moving the line, just keep that little bit there is a kind of smudgy sounding. So we need to be very clear on what the notes are. We've gone moving the line, just keep moving the line. What a great line you have. Okay, let's sing it again so we've got the notes right. And moving the line, just keep moving the line. Yes, very, very nice. You already know this, but for the words corner, each, bump, so cruelly written as different notes, they are all the same note. They are all an F sharp. So, handle every corner, each bump along the track. Yeah. It's called enharmonic change when the chord wants the name of the note to be G flat instead of F sharp. I think you should have just left it as an F sharp because it's bananas. But anyway, carrying on. Let's be really smooth right at the bottom of that page in between well, there was. So when I saw the ribbon is going really smoothly, and that's very, very nice, but let's make sure that we're not getting when I saw the ribbon, well, there was, because that's what we're getting at the moment. Well, there was, no. Yeah, give it some direction into was rather than I am excited about the ribbon bit and then I kind of forget, okay? You have a lovely line there, really, really smooth, so let's give it a go. And when I saw the ribbon, well, there was no turning back. One more time. When I saw the ribbon, well, there was no... And then do the rest of it, lovely, but make sure it's so joined. Very nice. Pop onto page 3. Up at the top, we're getting just a little bit of flatness on the photo finish. Photo, that it goes up a little bit and it's just not quite getting there. We're on an E natural. On the photo finish. Okay. Making sure that we're maybe giving it a little smile. On the photo finish to keep it in tune, okay? Again, it's probably a feature of having sung the same note again and again and again that it tends to pitch downwards. It's something that we have to consciously keep up. Come on down with me to the race began again. For the baritones, that race is getting a little bit chopped. So we're sort of hearing before I got my trophy, well, the race began. Now, well, the race began again. We can put tension and excitement into it without shortening that word, okay? Before I got my trophy, well, the race began again. Yeah. So we need the race to be nice and long. We need the again not to have a smack on it so that even though you're taking a breath, before I got my trophy, well, the race began again. So I made. Before I got my trophy, well, the race began again. So I, rather than before I got my trophy, well, the race began again. So it's getting a little bit like that. So let's avoid those two things. Let's sing it together. Before I got my trophy. Let's give it a go. 2, 3. Before I got my trophy, well, the race began again, so I made. Lovely, lovely. Can you do a bit of practice on that bit? In general, that key change is a little bit wobbly. There's a few singing things like the race and the again that aren't what we're looking for, but also the tuning is a little bit wobbly. So as secure as you individually can be, it'll be a much better spot for the whole group. Coming on down to bar 47, embracing each imperfection rather than embrace the imperfection. So that needs singing through on that vowel, perfection. So you're on an E flat, embrace. Embrace each imperfection till it's, yeah. Embrace each imperfection. Really, really nice. That's what we're looking for there. Super good. You're doing a great job, really great job on the ooh ah underneath the leads toasting to resurrection. It's so full of oomph and it sounds fantastic. Keep doing that. I love it. Come over to the last page. We're nearly there. When you come back in after the fall off moving the line, the leads go please, and you come back in on an ah. That needs to stay up. What's happening is we're getting a thump on ah, and then the pitch is dropping ever so slightly. So it needs to be full bodied all the way through, okay? Imagine that your ah is the words, please give me some direction. It should have that energy and that excitement all the way through it rather than ah. Okay, it's on an F natural. So you're gonna hear, please, ah. You can even grow slightly through that note to give it that extra excitement. And then just keep moving. You have a tough note in bar 55 on moving, and baritones you don't agree on it. Again, if this isn't a note you're super, super confident with, take a chill. Take a quarter second of waiting rather than blasting out a note that's going to disagree. There are people who have sung this song a lot. So give it a go together. From the bar 54, 3, 4. Just keep moving the line. Yeah. And we're going to get all that nice and agreed on because it's a long note. What's happening, I think, at the moment is because you're disagreeing on the note, you're ending up sort of cutting it a bit short. You're like, moving, or that wasn't great. So try and agree and hold it all the way to the end. Moving the line. There's a shadow vowel on the end of that one as well. There you go. And then right at the very end, for the very last note, the last thing I'll talk about is you need a big bright smile on that very last the line, because you're pitching upwards. You are supposed to be doing it, you're doing it, but it needs to say so bright and right at the very top of the note. Moving the big smile. You just won the race. I don't care what you've won. You've won something. Eyebrows up, big smile. You've got this. You've won it. You're going to keep it super, super in tune. You do not relax yourself. You do not chill out until after we have cut off the note, and then you get to relax. Don't be like, oh, hold on, I've arrived. Okay? So energized all the way through that. Great stuff. Practice, practice, practice. This is such a good song for us, and I want it to be the best it can be.